Hello, Literary Gladiators family. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do for my last video as a contributor this year, and I thought, you know what? What is one author that I haven't mentioned in a review that I think more people should read and know about? And I definitely immediately realized that I needed to do a video on the romance author Denise Williams. There is a lot of romance out there, and some of it is good, some of it is great, and some of it is really, really bad. And while romance is definitely a genre that you sometimes read because it is really, really bad, there are absolutely some authors that rise above and make these really, really incredibly deep, emotional, and spicy romance novels. So without a doubt, within the last couple of years, there is one romance author that to me has stood out among the rest with every book that she's put out. I mean, it's been 3 so far, but like whatever. And that is Denise Williams. And so today I am going to give you guys a brief overview of her 3 full-length novels that she currently has out that I have read. And for the last 2, I will link to videos that I have done on my channel, Betwixt the Books, of her 2 latest books. And I will tell you the story of what happened with her debut as well. So let's get started. So Denise's debut novel is called How to Fail at Flirting. And I came across this book rather randomly on my library's ebook app at the tail end of 2020. And I thought that it had a cute title and it sounded like a fun premise, which I'll get into more of in a minute. And so I got it from a library. I read it basically in one sitting, and even though I read it in December of 2022, it made my top 5 books of that entire year, and I read over 200 books that year. So when I say that it came out of nowhere and just blew me out of the water, I genuinely mean it. So How to Fail at Flirting, when you read just the description of the novel, is the story of Naya, who is a professor at a university, and Jake, who is a business consultant. And Naya is currently attempting to get tenure and get funding for this big project that she's doing. And she's gotten really, really focused on her work. And so her friends say, listen, you need to make a list of things that you just go out and try to do to try to like have a life essentially. And one of them is to go out and try to flirt, or at least fail at flirting, with a guy at a bar. And so there are some things that happen. Naya hears that this big consulting firm is going to come in and potentially decide which departments to cut from the university, and hers may be on that list. So she goes out to a bar trying to be outside of herself and decides to flirt with this guy at a bar. This is where she meets Jake. They have a fantastic chemistry and a one-night stand. And then when Naya goes back to work, she finds out that Jake is the guy from the consulting company that is deciding whether or not she will still have a job. That is all the description really suggests to you about this book. And so when I initially got the book from the library, I kind of thought it would just be what it sounds like, what I just described to you. This story of, you know, maybe Jake is like a really gruff businessman who's just there to like meet the numbers and cut jobs, and Naya has to also learn how to be a little bit more free and like be in a relationship and whatever. And it's not really that, it's some of that. But instantly what I discovered about Denise Williams' writing is a couple of things. One, she is incredible at writing characters. The potentially 2-dimensional trope figures in romance novels, she creates really, really amazing and incredible 3D people. And so the plot description that you get from, you know, the Goodreads or the back of the book or whatever is really just the surface of what is going to happen in this book. And it really does start at those characters that you instantly come to care about and are 3D people, and you really, really want them to make it work and get together. But Denise Williams, 100% what she does is she takes on real and serious topics in her books. and she gives equal weight to both people in the romantic pairing. So Jake has his own demons that he's struggling with, some issues of abandonment and loss that he's feeling. And Naya in particular has some, it feels unkind to say baggage left over from a past relationship. But you come to find out that what she's describing throughout the book as a past relationship with a bad ending is far more serious than meets the eye. And these issues are dealt with as the book goes on. So if you are someone who does not want to read about mental abuse, emotional abuse in relationships, and a small eruption of potentially physical abuse that happens at the end of the book, it's very, very mild. But if those things do not work for you, you will not want to read this book. And that is not something that I expected when I started. And I think that it was handled very beautifully and well done, and it just created a very deep and rich book that I really enjoyed. So Denise Williams follows up How to Fail at Flirting with another book the next year called The Fastest Way to Fall. And I did do a full review of this book on my channel, Betwixt the Books, which you can go check out if you would like to. What I will say about this book is that, again, it sounds like a very cute romance novel at the top, right? So Britta is a lifestyle blogger, and she has decided that she is going to enter into a competition with another woman at work about who can write the best review and have the best experience with some fitness apps, and so that they can write about them for the place they both work for. And so Britta is paired with a trainer through this app whose name is Wes, and they begin to develop an offline as well as online relationship that turns romantic. What Britta doesn't realize is that Wes is actually the CEO of this fitness app company. He is definitely not supposed to be moonlighting as a fitness trainer or having an offline relationship with her, but also, you know, he's lost the joy that brought him to create this app in the first place. And so by being with Britta, it helps him refine his passions. So again, that sounds like a fairly fine romance novel plotline. However, there are deep issues that are dealt with throughout this book as well. For Britta, it is the fact that she is plus sized. And so there's always that tension, right, between, you know, plus size and fitness and weight loss and dieting. And so she is struggling through all of those issues, especially because the person that she is competing with at her job is a very stick thin blonde, and she is a plus size woman of color. And so there's a lot of that dealt with throughout the book, and it comes out to this very beautiful message. In case you're worried, I put this up front, that you can be fit and interested in being healthy and be plus size and love your body, and all of these things can coexist, but sometimes the path to getting there isn't easy. On Wes's side, he has a lot of family issues that deal with both drug abuse and eating disorders, and that's part of why he is so passionate about this app that he made that is not treating fitness as dieting and weight loss, but as something that you do to make yourself healthier and happier, however you see that for yourself. And so he's dealing with those issues, and Britta is dealing with her issues, and they come together as two people really struggling to find the way forward, and they do that together with, of course, this whole thing about the subterfuge and their jobs hanging over them the entire time. I've read some books in the past lately that also try to handle, you know, eating disorders and being plus size and having body dysmorphia and all that kind of stuff. And that has not sat well with me as someone who has had trouble with eating and body weight in the past. But this book just, it felt like a warm, cozy blanket. Like, yeah, this isn't easy and it's hard, but, you know, there are ways that we can talk about it, and a way to have those involved in a story where it comes out feeling positive and there's love. And I just really enjoyed that, and I thought that that book was probably for me even better than How to Fail at Flirting. So again, I have a whole actual like review that I did that you can watch on that one, but just So good. And again, those deep character issue books that also happen to be romances that are also very spicy, and it's just, for me, the whole package. So Denise's latest full-length book, because she's been doing this airport novella series, that's why I keep saying that, I haven't read those, but her latest full-length novel is called Do You Take This Man? This is the story of divorce attorney RJ. She is a high-powered woman of color attorney, feared by all, going places, very uptight, business-oriented, but incredibly competent and powerful woman who happens, for whatever reason, to be ordained as a someone who can marry people, which she'd done, I think, for a friend's wedding or something, and then she went viral, happening to be at the right place at the right time to marry these two male movie stars in a park. And now she's like super in demand as an officiant at people's weddings, even though she's this crazy powerful divorce attorney. And she ends up having to work with this gentleman named Lear, who used to do events for a pro football team, but is now doing weddings for reasons that you do not know until later in the book. But he is definitely running from something. The choice in parties may suggest that. But anyway, he and RJ meet at an event. They don't realize that they are the people they're both looking for, like the officiant and the wedding planner situation. They literally run into each other on the sidewalk. The exchange is less than pleasant. And then they go in and realize they actually have to work with each other. So this is definitely an enemies to lovers situation. And it's really funny because instead of, you know, there is definitely some fighting of the attraction, but quite quickly they both go, all right, like we both don't like each other, but we're also really attracted to each other. So what we should definitely do is start sleeping together, and then like this whole problem that we have working with each other will go away. And so that was really funny, and I really appreciated that. But of course, feelings start to get caught and things get more complicated. This book, and I said this in my full review and I'll say it again, was really difficult to review in the larger expectation of what I've come to think of as a Denise Williams book, because as, again, a character relationship book, it is an incredibly high bar. This book does not have, it has some of, but not the level of the outside family, other issues things going on that I've come to expect again from Denise Williams' book. But I stress that does not make it a bad book, and in fact may be a better entry book to Denise Williams' work for people who don't want a romance novel that tackles some of those other issues that I've mentioned. Again, they both definitely have their own baggage, but it's less of an issue. More of what's going on is their relationship with each other. What I enjoyed here is that normally there's some kind of like, you know, you would think RJ as a high-powered attorney, and then Lear would be like more laid back and like, you know, oh, you should have more fun. But in this one, they're actually both fairly type A, and part of the reason they're constantly butting heads is they always think that they have to be right, and that, you know, business matters and their job matters and doing a good job matters, and they both just think they know the way to do it. I've gotten, for whatever reason, really tired of that like high-powered working woman, laid-back guy who like needs to teach her to like let her hair down every once in a while. So this book was not that, which I really appreciated. All in all, I love Denise Williams' book so much. I think that she puts so much care and effort into crafting characters and stories that are really meaningful and have meaningful things to say outside of just being romance novels. And while I love me a good, easy to read, sweet, fun, fast romance novel, I love knowing that every single time Denise Williams puts out a new work, that it's just going to be this extra cut above and be really involved and lovely and emotional and just really make me happy in the end. So she's written 3 books so far. Again, I haven't read the novellas, but even though Do You Take This Man is like not quite, I think, at the level of How to Fail at Flirting and The Fastest Way to Fall, they've never been a disappointment. So if you are looking for some good romance, and if one of those, fits your fancy, I highly recommend her work and anything she comes out with after this, because I think it'll be a great read. So I couldn't let this year end without giving you guys that recommendation. Thank you so much to Josh and Literary Gladiators for having me on. I cannot wait to return next year as a contributor once again, and I will see you next year. Or you can always visit me on my channel, Betwixt the Books, where I post slightly more regularly. Although less regularly right now because school is hard, and why I decided to get a PhD is beyond me. But anyways, I'll catch you in either place. Bye!